about a week since ChatGPT 5 launched. And you know what? It wasn't the big end-all be-all that they tried to sell to us. We're not all going to lose our jobs. We're not all going on universal basic income. In fact, in a lot of ways, this is reminding me of a movie that we've seen before, Gen X, called the dot-com bust of 2000. This is what I'm seeing. But however, it's not a total fail. In this video, I'm going to talk about where AI is failing, where it still matters, and what we can do about it. As usual, I brought the receipts. And if you don't believe me, let's start with one of the biggest voices out there against the AI hype, Gary Marcus. Gary Marcus is an NYU professor. He started some original businesses that ended up becoming Uber, and he's one of the leading voices about this AI hype. And you know what? The tech bros are not a fan of Gary Marcus, but Gary Marcus called it. So Gary Marcus had warned and has been warning that the whole thing that the tech bros have been trying to sell to us would under-deliver. In fact, in a recent podcast, he was talking about, they're actually calling it Gary Marcus Day because it was just underwhelming and that really the tech just simply did not deliver. One of the things that he said, and one of the biggest criticisms, which I kind of get a kick out of, was the dominant reaction was disappointment. People even joked online that it's Gary Marcus Day after ChatGPT flopped. You know, he's been arguing that tech bros have been running a 3-year marketing campaign over-promising on ChatGPT 5, and the current technology just simply does not deliver. Any of us that are out there using ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, any of them, we all know that, you know what, you very often have to correct what AI spits back to you. Some of it could be based on your skill in prompt engineering and putting in the right prompts. I understand all of that. But a lot of times they call it hallucinations. Hallucinations is when you put something into ChatGPT, you get the answer back, and you know, even we know that it's completely wrong. And Gary Marcus's sort of overall point was, do we really want to trust ChatGPT with hallucinations, maybe even potentially teaching our children? So overall, the launch this week of ChatGPT 5 was underwhelming and it was a disappointment. But again, like I said, there still are things that we need to pay attention to. And if you like my videos, all I ask for, I really like to think a lot about what topics matter to you, how I can bring you value, and share with you my knowledge. And if you like that, all I ask for in return is a subscription or a like. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'd love you to support me in this and leave a comment, subscribe, or like. All right. So there are the receipts. But even if it's not just Gary Marcus, I mean, what I think that we're seeing is, and of course, corporate America and AI, the tech bros, really, I don't think are accounting for this. And that's what I'm calling the law of unintended consequences. There's a lot of unintended consequences with this whole AI thing. I mean, America, our power grid is simply not equipped to handle these data centers. Even if this was all going to take over the world and our jobs and universal basic income and this just hyped up reality that's not even, it's just not possible. And to give you an example, there's kind of a growing sentiment. If you look around the internet right now, we don't have the power grid to power these data centers. And there's a lot of people who live near data centers that are complaining and talking about how they're getting skyrocketing electricity bills. In fact, I saw one lady, she was talking about, she lives in, I believe it's Denver, and lives near a data center that's being largely tapped to power this AI stuff. And she said something like her electricity bill was going from something like $150 a month to $600 a month. So people are not going to take this. I mean, again, AI slop, which is corporate slop on steroids, is they haven't thought this through. Even if we were to do this, we can't do it right now. And it's very, very critical in if this thing's going to take off and perform as billed, that we have the data centers to power it. Now, I happen to know in my real life, I've got a friend who works in that space, and she told me the same exact thing. We don't have the power for it. So while data centers, great area to invest, I'm thinking, and I do think that will eventually work itself out, this is not 12 months, 24 months away. It's just simply not. We cannot execute. Again, throwing spaghetti at the wall, a great idea in theory, but in practice, it's a flop. Now, I'm not saying that AI isn't going to change things and then it does nothing. But if you think about what I've laid out beforehand, is that we can execute upon it and everything is not going to change. Corporate businesses are not planning for the backlash that is coming. And corporate businesses have not thought about the fact that they cannot run their companies without people like me and you. They cannot run their companies because it's not going to be agentic chatbots and getting rid of, like, I work for a very large company, more than 80,000 employees. They're not going to reduce the number of humans that work at these companies to something like 20,000 people and then have the rest be in chatbots. It's just simply not going to work. And that's another thing that corporate America has not thought through. And I think that if you are looking, and what I'm seeing in the field, if they're thinking about this coming change and this coming AI apocalypse, I would stay in roles and job descriptions that are very, very close to human skills. Now, here's an unpopular thought, but I think everybody should maybe think about it. There's still a lot of jobs out there. Particularly, I get a lot of people asking me to interview with them, recruiters reaching out to me for good sales jobs. But a lot of people don't want to do sales jobs, and they don't want to do them because they're very, very hard. I have been able to survive because I have sales ability and have stayed in sales. But one of the main things and the main talent and value that I bring to the table is my ability to interact, build relationships, have complex conversations with other humans. And so I think that as we see this AI situation faltering and the job roles and layoffs and having things are still a little bit unstable, I'm staying close to anything that is requires human interaction. I think that if you stay in roles that require human interaction, that's going to be a good safety net and a good strategy for you. You can maybe think about the role that you have right now, and if it might be being eliminated or changing in some way. What are the transferable skills that you can take and apply to a new role? But with the caveat being that you need to bring that human element. That's where I think that's where I think that you should focus and double down on while all of this stuff gets worked out. As it gets worked out, we'll see. Now, the bigger truth here, and something else that I think people are not accounting for, is people don't want AI. There's going to be, not only is there the tactical and execution backlash and obstacles that corporate America and the tech bros are encountering right now, there's another factor that I do think is very, very important, and that's the general market, meaning humans. We don't want it. Case in point, there's something, you may have heard about this, you may not have heard about it, but it's called that the internet is dying. And essentially what that means is people are really sick of getting on the internet, doing a web search, going wherever they're going in your usual internet neighborhoods and seeing nothing but AI-generated ads, chat bots, AI up our butts all the time. And case in point, internet is dying is trending. So check that out just to validate my point, another receipt that I'm bringing. But there's another thing. I just discovered a very, very interesting business, and there's another guy that you should check out. His name is, it's called The Corner Office. His name is Chris Corner. I'll link to his podcast, giving you a shout out, Chris, because I love your podcast and I love everything that you talk about. But he covers businesses that are easy to start, that anybody can do. Well, he introduced me to a business called the Flower Letters. The Flower Letters is very interesting. It's a snail mail based, really storytelling business. I think it's a couple out of Idaho or Utah or something. And essentially what you do is you pay $10 a month. You get 2 letters delivered to you every other Friday, I think it is, that tells a story, and it's delivered to you snail mail format, not digital. So we're going analog. Analog is making a comeback. Okay. And then it's delivered to you, beautiful paper, very artistically done and very well done. And I just got my first installment of the Flower Letters. This particular storyline is about archaeology, and it just sounds interesting. So I thought, you know what, for $10 a month, I'm going to give that a shot. But it's just a larger case in point is that people they don't want the digital wasteland that everywhere we go, that's all it is. They're reaching and responding in a positive way to businesses like the Flower Letter. There's more actual on-site meetings that are happening. There's an uptick in this. There's also an uptick in even things like, you remember from maybe 10 years ago, it was called speed dating. That's actually making a comeback too. People don't want to meet people on these. But anyway, you get my point. The point is, I do really think that there's going to be a human backlash. So, you know, in a way, I'm very happy to report that ChatGPT failed this week. It is not as far along as we are being told. So I think corporate America will probably catch up, but this is not something that they had planned for. And not everybody's ready to sign up with this whole vision that the tech bros are selling to us. It's just simply not happening right now. Is it going to change things? Yes, it is. If you're a software developer, I think that's trouble. If you're a coder, that's trouble. Maybe a writer, this and that. But all these job roles are not going to go away. Our world is not going to change to the degree that they're talking about right now, at least for the foreseeable future. I think you're going to see an uptick in really human connection, human-based businesses, the analog world, the physical presence, touching and feeling, and all of those kind of things that humans bring. Case in point, even Sam Altman himself said, anything that's supremely human is golden. So Sam Altman, the, OpenAI guru, even said that. So, it's great. All right, so let's reset expectations. Yeah, some jobs are going to change. Yes, I definitely think that you should becoming upskilled in AI skills, so prompt engineering, orchestration. You'll see job roles like AI to human orchestration start to evolve. All of those things are very, very important. But I think it's also very important for people to understand that double down on humanity. I mean, build the skills that AI can't touch. A couple of thought leaders that I like to listen to, and I think that maybe if you would like to learn more, I listen to Joe Allen, who wrote a book called Dark Aeon. Great guy. Very big thought leader in AI. I like Chris Corner's podcast that I just mentioned about different business ideas, things that you can start right now. Kevin O'Leary recently said, I just saw it this morning, about how he's talking about that it's going to become project-based work. That kind of validates what I said a few weeks ago in my video about fractional work. You might want to check that out, the Microsoft video that I did a couple of weeks ago. So check that out. And if you want to hear more of this, or tell me what you want to hear, tell me what's valuable, and I'll make a video on it. I've really got my, shoulder to the wheel on this. I've got my, my attention focused on what's coming next. It's always been a very good talent of mine to kind of see what's coming downfield. I've been able to survive all this time at, turning 55 and being employed in a good job, very hard job, but a good job. And I'd love to know what else. If you want me to make a video on something else, I'll make that video. And check out my video on job search below. Take care.